1-800-449-8686. This is the Phil Hendry Show. Despite promises by the airline industry, more flights are late, more passengers are bumped, and more baggage is mishandled, according to a new study. As a matter of fact, the numbers are a little interesting. There's 27% of all flights are late. 20%, there has been a 20% increase in complaints, and out of every 1,000 bags, 6 are lost. Not a very good record, I would think. The yearly review by 2 university professors found airline service continuing to decline at a time when Congress is considering legislation intended to help consumers. Private pilot Art Griego joins us, as a matter of fact, from his own aircraft over Santa Monica right now. Art, how are you?
Phil, I'm doing very good, thanks.
And are you just on a regular cell phone?
I'm on my cell phone, that's correct.
And you used to fly commercially, didn't you?
I flew commercially for about 15 years. I've gone into the private plane practice here, but I enjoy myself.
Okay, Art, you've seen this story. You know all of the complaints that passengers have, people who fly for a living. I mean, how many of us have been sitting there waiting for aircraft to get in on time and it hasn't been on time? How many of us have sat there waiting for a plane to take off and you're sitting on the runway for a long time? All of these things.
Well, Phil, I know customers have a lot of complaints, but their complaints have to do with I think a very serious lack of understanding of what flight attendants, ground crew, and gate personnel do.
All right, well, tell us what they do.
Flying is still the safest way to travel. You are actually statistically more likely to die from being hit by a meteor or a comet than you are to die in an airplane. And that's because we have pilots, flight attendants, and ground personnel dedicated to making your flight as pleasant as possible. Organizing and maintaining the complex network of domestic and international flights every day is nigh to impossible, and yet we do it. And I think we do it very well.
Well, look, you've still got this 27% late figure, 20% of all flights late. Art. I mean, 20% increase in complaints.
Well, that complaint number, I think, could be artificially inflated. If not, people are always going to complain, especially when they're getting something as quality as air service in the United States of America. It is for the quality that you get, for the kind of comfort that you fly with, for the arrival times, for the safety, you might as well be flying for free. And the money that you pay compared to what we put out to get you people to your destination, it's as if you're flying for free. And when people get things for free, they complain. If they pay for something, then they tend to have their mouth shut. And
well, people have a right to complain.
I'm not saying they don't, but what we would do in the flight industry, if I was still in the industry, which I'm not, but what I would recommend that they do, is make this time-honored but effective challenge to the air traveler listening, Phil. And that is, if you think you can do better, go ahead, fly the plane, get your own drinks, get your own meal, clean out the latrine, get yourself...
Yeah, but Art, that...
No, get yourself to your correct gate, load and unload your own baggage, and, land the plane and take it off again safely, because we are... I think we're tired of going home and crying into our mattresses, driving home wailing like babies holding onto the steering wheel because of the emotional abuse we take from passengers. And a lot more seniors fly nowadays, and seniors complain about everything. That's why the number of complaints is up. So I think the problem is twofold. People tend to complain, and senior citizens, I can tell you, as a pilot, I didn't even get near half of it. But one of the things we used to do is stand at the entry to the flight deck as people were leaving the aircraft and say goodbye.
Right.
And there'd always be some blue hair or somebody coming down. Oh, can you do the turbulence was too much. My stomach, I vomited. I've got the runs. Always talking to you about their bowel movements or something which we found was very unprofessional and something we couldn't deal with. And
you're talking about complaining senior citizens.
That is correct, and I think that's why they have...
You think that's why the complaints are up?
I do, because you've got a lot more older people flying because the airfare is down, and seniors are notoriously cheap, and they're going to fly now because of the cheap airfare.
All right, Art Griego, former commercial pilot, joins us. You said that if people don't like flying, then they can just fly themselves. Is that right?
I think that I would give that challenge to people. And
all right, 1-800-449-8686 is our number. Phil Hendry Show, talking to Art Griego, former commercial pilot, who basically is responding to the complaints that people have about air travel, responding to the lost bags, responding to the late arrivals, responding to all these things by just simply saying we're doing the best we can, and if you think you can do better, do it.
And I understand it sounds arrogant.
It sounds very arrogant. Okay, it doesn't sound as if you're taking into consideration a lot of the complaints that people have.
Look, Phil, some old woman said to me once that we're flying a leg. I was from Memphis to Florida. And some old lady said to me, I'll never forget it, she said, I felt a draft. Did you have a door open? I was cold. And I just stepped back. I remember my body, I had to catch myself because I was stunned by how thick this old lady was. Just whine, moan, piss and moan. And so I think the people out there need to realize all you got is us. You don't have any choice. So what we suggest you do is sit back, shut your mouth, and enjoy the great service that you get from our aircraft. But this woman...
sit back, shut my mouth, and enjoy the great service.
Well, what I'm saying is, don't do what this old lady did. She says to me, did we have a door open?
Well, she's an elderly woman. I don't know. Maybe she thought that there was... she didn't get pressurized cabin?
I don't know, but I remember drawing my fist back. And then I remembered who I was. I'm a pilot. Get a hold of yourself. You're a professional. But
You drew your fist back?
Yes, I did.
You were going to hit an old woman?
I wasn't, but I was just outraged.
1-800-449-8686. All right, let me ask you some specific questions about air travel, okay?
Well, are you going to complain like everybody else?
Let me just ask you, okay? How about getting the hot air turned down while we're on the ground? What if I'm sitting there? These are the things that I don't like. I'm sitting in an aircraft, the hot air, there's no air conditioning blowing. How about if we get some air going while we're sitting on the ground?
Well, Phil, I think that we have a few more important things to do, okay? Do you want fuel for the aircraft? Would you like us to fuel it up, or do you want us to turn the air conditioning? We can turn the air conditioning on, and you'll be as cool as a cucumber as we sail that thing right into the ocean. You'll be comfortable all the way down to your death. Now, Phil, I don't mean to scare you, but
wait a second, man. All right, what about overhead baggage spaces? You know, I get on the plane, there's no space available, okay? And
we'll try bringing a smaller carry-on. What do you want me to tell you? Try getting on the plane earlier.
What about you sail by with the drink cart? Nobody answers, nobody came by. One time I was on the aisle and the drink cart went right by me.
We're not mind readers. So open up your mouth and say, excuse me, I want a drink.
How about the time, I think that what you're saying...
Phil, we don't have time for a lot of these complaints, okay? You want to incinerate 200 people? Then maybe we can incinerate 200 people while we get your air conditioning turned down, we get your drink for you, we get a pillow, we get a blanket, and 200 people burn alive in a cornfield because you needed to get more space for your overhead bag. You see, one of the things, there was a time when...
Oh, wait, man, I'll tell you something. A lot of your comments are very challenging.
I'm sorry, but there was a time when the pilots and the flight attendants would actually fraternize. We could go out with each other. Now the flight attendants are so ready to tear somebody's throat out, you got less of a chance of scoring.
All right, Art Griego is with us. You have less of a chance of scoring. Is that what you said?
Yes, sir. 200 people barbecue so you could have a second bag. 200.
What?
200 people barbecue so you could have a second bag of peanuts.
Look at how many people are going to freaking barbecue because I want a second.
You take the flight attendant's mind away from safety, and you take that flight deck crew away from safety, and that's what you're going to have. You got yourself a fish fry for 200. I could get you a blanket. I can get you a blanket, or your family can pull back the blanket over your burnt corpse as you lie in a high school gymnasium that's now a makeshift morgue. I'm very upset. I'm trying hard not to cry about a lot of this.
All right, he's obviously very emotional. Art Griego on the line talking to us about the rate of complaints, and this is the first time I've heard anybody in the industry or someone who's recently retired from the industry say, you know what, we're doing the best we can, and you heard him say it, sit back, shut your mouth, and enjoy the flight. He also threw down the challenge, if you don't like flying, if you don't like the service, if you don't like the late flights, if you don't like this and you don't like that, fly yourself to your next destination, get your own drink, get your own blanket, get your own pillow, land and take the plane off. That's challenging. 1-800-449-8686. Although I'm going to tell you something right now, I don't see how it is that I'm putting 200 people at risk of being barbecued alive because I want another bag of peanuts. I don't get it, but 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show. 1-800-449-8686, Phil Hendry Show. We're talking with Art Griego, who is actually airborne right now over Santa Monica here in Southern California. You're a private pilot, and you retired from commercial flying when, Art?
Phil, I retired in 1994, but I still have some friends in the business.
And you're basically saying that the airline industry is doing the very best that it can. With all of the complaints, you suggest people just, as you said it, shut up.
Well, the words might have been strong, but people don't understand. I can get you headphones so you can watch Rugrats in Paris. I can get you another bag of peanuts. We can get you another drink. We can get you a pillow. We can get you a blanket. We can do a lot of things, but at a cost. And that cost may be your life. We may, while we're getting the headphones fixed so you can see Raise the Titanic, we may be flying directly into the side of a mountain. And I'm going to tell you something.
But as a pilot, that's not your worry.
I'm sorry?
As a pilot, that is not your worry. That's the flight attendant.
But we're all involved in safety. And that's why I believe that all you need to do, if you don't like it, if you don't like the service you're getting, if you don't like the way things are going, tell you what, walk. Go out and walk.
Walk.
Well,
you know what? You don't give us any. It's almost like either or, which I don't think anybody appreciates. Lynn, you're on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, I'm tickled to death this guy doesn't fly anymore.
Well, I had an excellent safety record, sir.
Secondly, if he's so impressed with safety, why is he flying around above L.A. with a cell phone in his hand? I fly 100,000 miles a year. What this guy needs to do is get in the back and ride for a while and find out how it really is instead of
how is
it?
Why don't you tell me? How is it?
In the back, as far as flying for free is concerned, my average ticket's about $800, and I fly about 50 weeks out of the year now.
But I'm talking about in terms of the service you get. You might as well be flying for free because what you pay is nothing compared to what you get.
If that were the case, we would have no airlines making profits, and we do.
Sir, you understand? We do? Look, you understand that we are transporting you from one place to another within hours. The closest thing that we've ever come to something like that is Star Trek, where they can beam you between ships.
What's your point?
You don't see my point.
I don't know what your
point.
Well, my point is, it is a miracle of the modern age.
It's a miracle of the modern age.
No, we can take you we can take you from wherever, San Francisco to New York, in a matter of 4.5 hours, and pretty soon we will be able to molecularly disseminate you and move your molecules.
And we pay for the privilege. And the money is enough not only to pay you and the flight attendants, but also to afford the shareholders of the airline.
Well, sir, I mean, what we're trying to do is the very best we can, okay? We're underpaying our pilots. Look, we're flying you from San Francisco to New York, and you don't even understand how we do it.
I don't understand how you do it.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean he doesn't understand how they do it?
Most people don't get what's going on.
Well, why don't you tell me what's going on?
We're getting airborne in a jet going supersonic. It's wild. You can get on your bike and see how long that takes you to go from New York.
I don't know how to break this to you, but air travel is not new.
No, I know it's not new.
It's not new.
I understand that. But most people sit there, they look out there. I've had old people say to me, it's amazing. How does it get up and fly? I said wings, fuel. What am I supposed to say? And they're befuddled.
I can't believe you got stupid passengers like that.
Well, I do.
I would
All
hope
right.
that you would give the passenger some sort of comfort zone when they ask the question. But I
Well, what do you want me
doubt
to say to a guy who says, gee, how does this thing fly? Wings, fuel? I don't know what I'm supposed to say. We just take off and go over to that place over there.
All right, look at Lynn. Thanks for your call here. So what are you saying? You've actually had people ask you...
I've had people, especially these elderly that I'm talking about, come up to me and say, "Are you sure we're in Miami?" And I'll say, yes. Why? Because how does it do that? How do you go?
How does it do that?
Yes. I told one guy the plane's propelled by...
Hello?
Yeah. Are you there?
Yes.
I told one guy that the plane was... hamsters.
Uh-huh. Why?
Because this guy was, if I hear one more person tell me they're pissed at having to wait on the runway for a while, I'll go to the back of the plane, run through the aisle with a bottle of liquor, and throw mattresses on each and every one of them.
Well, I think it's unprofessional. I think it's the kind of thing that can actually endanger people.
Quite possibly, Phil. But, of course, what I'm trying to say here, more than anything else, on behalf of all of the great pilots and flight attendants that work in this industry, please give them a break. Just sit back, relax, shut up, have a drink, have something to eat. I don't know.
All right, 1-800-449-8686. Clark on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Yes,
Hi,
sir.
Phil.
Hi.
What I wanted to say to your guest, I agree with your ideas of the importance of safety, but I think in having an abrasive attitude toward your passenger only increases the frustration factor in a system which you very well know, I am assuming, which is already overtaxed by the number of aircraft that are flying today. And,
look, we're doing the best we can, okay? We're doing the best we can with the amount of aircraft that we got flying. That guy's a pilot?
Yes, he is.
You're a disgrace.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, he ought to be backing me up, not calling up with a lot of crap about passengers. Passengers, sit in the seat, relax, kick back, enjoy the movie, zip it up, because flight attendants will tell you, the less we hear from a passenger, the more pleasant the flight.
Well, you know what? We're going to be talking, like if I need a drink, if I need a...
Yeah, I know, the pillow and everything else.
Right. 1-800-449-8686. David, you're on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello. David, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi.
Go ahead, sir.
Hi, I'm a retired airline pilot. I used to fly 747s for an Asian company. I'm now based in Southern California, and I was in the airline industry for 32 years. I just wish to comment that the gentleman you're talking to, I do not think is truly representative of the professionals that fly aircraft in the United States airline industry. His remarks, I think, are way out of place.
Well, sir, I'm simply speaking for a lot of frustrated pilots. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, I work with pilots every day, sir, and I've had the privilege of working in the United States of America for 10 years in the aviation industry, and I know that the American pilots are some of the most professional in the world.
Absolutely.
And I've never heard anybody talk such arrant nonsense, sir, as I've heard from you in the last 20 minutes.
What have I said that isn't true?
What you're saying is not only not true, but it is completely illogical what you're talking about at times, about barbecuing 200 people because somebody wants a pillow or a drink. Please do me a favor. How long were you in the industry?
Okay, where's the caller?
I'm sorry, Phil.
Look, can I ask, David, why don't you hang on, and we're going to take a commercial break. I'm going to get to you right after the break, and we're going to reestablish contact with our guest, all right?
Okay, that sounds fine.
All right, just hold the line, sir. I agree. 1-800-449-8686. This is the Phil Hendry Show. We're talking with Art Griego, a retired commercial pilot, about the aviation situation. Phil Hendry Show will be back in a moment.
getting your view.
1-800-449-8686. This is the Phil Hendry Show. We're talking with retired pilot Art Griego about customer complaints concerning the on-time schedule of airlines, concerning baggage handling, just the complaints are up 20%. And you made the statement last half hour, if you don't like it, fly yourself.
I did, Phil.
And don't you think you sound a little bit arrogant? And also, we're going to get back to this gentleman who's on the line, David. David, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, David, thank you for holding on. You made the comment, David, that a lot of what you said, Art, especially 200 people burning alive because someone wants an extra bag of peanuts. And
well, what do you want to do? Do you want to distract the crew from safety, or do you want to continue on with this irritating, this non-ending mantra of pillows and baggage space?
But isn't that what a flight attendant and the crew is for?
No, we're there for safety and to make sure that we've got to... we can be on time, on fire, or we could be late with everybody alive. What do you want to do? David, you're the pilot. What's your call?
I wouldn't even lower myself to answer the question, sir. I really wouldn't.
I mean,
that is absolutely preposterous. You've got pilots who are there to do the safety job. You've got flight attendants who, in the case of an emergency, their priority is safety.
Right.
In between time, everybody's got time to do their job, to be civil, and to try and make the passengers as comfortable as possible.
But you know,
I don't feel that any of what you say gets in the way of flight safety.
Well, what am I doing?
As soon as an emergency situation arises, the whole thing changes. Everything changes, and everybody goes into emergency mode or whatever mode it is. But there is no connection between peanuts and flight safety. Please do yourself a favor.
Well, I don't know, David. You have to have gone through some of these whining asses. Aren't you tired of old people wanting to look in the cockpit?
Yes, you get that, but that's part of the courtesy that you have of trying to give a service to the general public.
Right.
I'm not saying that we are giving a perfect service. We are not. And any system is open to improvement, and it's open to constructive criticism.
But David,
if we get that feedback from the customers, then we can improve the product. America has got a very fine airline system. There are good airlines, and there are not-so-good airlines.
Well,
the good airlines survive, and the not-so-good airlines tend to go under or lose a lot of money.
You know as well as I do that in the old days it was easier to... the flight attendants were a little bit more friendly. They were friendlier. And now,
To whom?
To us, the pilots. Now they go home, they want to rip someone's throat out, and you can't get to first base.
I really don't see what the friendliness of the flight attendants...
There has to be a connection between that second drink service and hitting a mountain.
All right, okay, David, thank you. Thank you for your call.
I was on a flight cross-country. We had a code H, which is an emergency, and some old broad was screaming about getting some ice for a prune juice, and we can't do our job. You want that? Do you want that kind of horror and that kind of terror? 300 people in a heavily weighted L-1011 screaming for God, praying to Jesus, on their knees, bleeding from the palms because some old...
Art?
Hold on.
Okay, 1-800-449-8686. Here is Todd on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello.
Hey,
yes, sir.
Just wanted to make a comment about this guy's arrogance. You're awful arrogant for a guy who works 20 hours a month, and you're being very rude to your customers who pay your check.
What do you mean 20 hours a month?
How many hours a month do you work?
Well, I'm retired right now. Oh, I used to work 20 hours, about 30 hours a month.
You used to work 20 hours a month.
I'm retired now. I don't work any hours a month.
We pay your salary.
You pay
right? Doesn't the consumer aren't we paying for a level of service, a product?
Well,
and for you to laugh about it and joke about
exactly. You're joking
about the flight staff taking you in the back room or in the hotel after you land the plane. That's a joke. The level of service is down. I fly 150,000 miles a year, and you guys are all complaining. You're all a captain on a United flight now on a 777 will make $250,000 a year. Don't you think that's extreme?
No, I don't. I think we're underpaid. But I have hauled my last.
Say that.
Look, I have hauled my last commercial ass across the country, watching Air Bud and whining because their chicken dinner was cold. You know what I'm saying, Tom? I'm not saying that's you. I'm not saying you're the guy. I'm just saying, put yourself in my shoes. Here comes Grandma. She's going to visit the kids in Phoenix. She wants to go into the cockpit and see how the big plane flies. And then they want those wings.
Yeah, you know what? Your frequent traveler like myself is frustrated about people carrying too much on the plane.
There you go.
And asking for that extra bag of peanuts.
Exactly.
But attitudes like yours, it's ridiculous. We don't need it if it's going to start with the captain down, the pilot down. It's going to trickle down to the level of service to your gate agent.
Look at Todd. You know what? We can get that extra bag of peanuts and serve up 200 broiled passengers.
You know what? You're making a joke out of it.
No, sir, I am not.
We all know that's not. We know you take people's lives in every. You're just a glorified cab driver.
Well, okay, if I'm a glorified cab driver, then why don't you take a cab next time you need to get someplace?
Because I'm paying.
Hold on. Stand by.
What is that?
It's just a stall indicator. It's all right. Well, we got a little low.
I'm paying 100 times the price of a cab.
I have too much to do to be answering questions and giving updates for the cockpit. These people, they want to know what the score of the SC game is. They want to find, you try to make a few jokes about parting the hair in Washington.
Answer the question. I pay 100 times more than I pay for a cab ride.
I got all these people asking me questions about parting the hair in Washington and Mount Rushmore, and nobody laughs.
Nobody's asking you any questions. You lock the door in that cabin. You go about your safety, the plane from point to you
what? Stand by. 15,
What the hell is going on?
Stand by.
He's got a stall thing.
That was good. All right, Todd, I gotta go. I gotta go. I'm stalling the plane.
All right, hope you're solid.
Gee, thank you very much. Bye. Todd?
Okay, goodbye, Todd. 1-800-449-8686. Here is Alex on the Phil Hendry Show. Hello. Alex, hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm
We're talking with
fine.
Art Griego, a retired commercial pilot, about air travel today and how at least in your opinion, Art, people ought to quit complaining and just fly.
Yeah.
I think he needs to just shut up. This guy's complaining about people coming in and asking him questions, but how does he have time to talk on his cell phone for 30 minutes to an hour to people on the radio?
Right now I'm doing some freelance flying. I'm doing some freelance crop dusting out over Oxnard.
Okay, I lived in
Wait a minute,
Texas.
freelance crop?
You laugh. I have been laughed at all hour.
Yeah,
when I was a commercial pilot, I tried to get you, Alex, and friends of yours across the country safely, without your parents having to identify you in a high school and gymnasium.
You know what? It's not that challenging. You just do your job and sit in that cockpit and fly, and the flight attendants can get me my peanuts and my drink.
Oh, is it really easy? Well, then I tell you what, next time you go flying, you just tell the pilot to take a seat. You're flying.
You know what? My dad is a pilot, and half the time he sits in the cockpit playing cards.
You sit up in the cockpit.
Put the plane on autopilot, and it flies itself.
It does what?
You can put the plane in autopilot while you're at a steady altitude.
I bet you think you go up there and push a big red button.
Excuse me?
I bet you think you go into the cockpit and push a big red button, and then a big blow-up pilot takes over. There's no such thing as autopilot.
No, it's not like that. I know that. But you know what? The captain is not always constantly paying attention. My father and his co-pilot...
Hold on. Go ahead.
My father and his co-pilot, they play cards in the cockpit. It's a hard job, and yeah, it takes a lot of training, but you're not putting 200 lives in danger when someone asks for an extra bag of peanuts.
I think your father's lying to you just to make you feel good.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think my father's a liar, and I really don't.
Well, I don't think he's lying in a malicious way. I just don't think he wants you worrying about the fact that every time he gets up there, he's sweating blood from fear that some old person is going to knock on the cockpit door and say the latrine's backed up.
You know what? He's not. He's had 20 years experience flying fighter jets in the Navy.
Alex, let me ask you this. Should I, as a commercial pilot, have to go back and unstick the toilet if somebody threw those towels down there?
And the flight attendants shouldn't allow passengers to come up and ask you a stupid question like that.
That's part of my job.
What are you talking about? The pilots have to do that?
Yes.
Well, then you know what? If that's part of your job, you took that obligation when you signed that contract with that airline.
Well, you know what? Every airline, you ask your father, part of our job was to plunge the John.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Isn't that
that's perfectly
humiliating?
fine. Then don't complain about it. You're getting paid for that,
okay.
and you
I tell you what,
signed
Alex,
up to do that.
I won't complain about it as I'm plunging the John, and as we hit the Empire State Building.
You know what? It doesn't take both captains to go back there and unplug the John. Your co-captain or the co-pilot can go do that.
Well, a lot of co-pilots are not certified.
Oh. Well, then you need to go back there and do that, and that co-pilot is certified to fly
He's not
the plane.
certified to fly the plane without me in the cockpit, no.
Well, then he can go unclog the
Both-
John. It doesn't take two people. It does not.
How come it takes two guys to plunge the toilet?
I don't know. That's FAA regulations.
Well, then they're stupid. It doesn't take two people.
Yes, you
And
finally
obviously,
said
then
it.
they're not concerned about the people's safety because you don't have two pilots in the
Look, I
back of the
wouldn't-
plane unclogging the John while no one's up in the cockpit.
I wouldn't mind using the plunger, but some of these
Oh, gosh.
passengers leave huge logs in that thing.
All right. Okay. I'm done. He's an idiot. What a moron. They got the pilots unplugging the John.
That airplane food backs you up.
Yeah, I got it. 1-800-449-8686. And what's with him flying around freelance crop dusting? 1-800-449-8686. Phil Hendry Show. Phil Hendry Show here. And this is the world-famous Phil Hendry Show, where we do all the voices and we make people laugh because people call in and say, you can't barbecue 200 people while you're handing out peanuts. And that's what makes our show very special. And if you like it, well, tell a friend or whatever the hell you want to do. Don't tell a friend. Doesn't matter. 1-800-449-8686. We're pressing on, man, regardless. You know how many people want to see this show just go away? Do you know how many people want to see this show just fail? Because what we have done in broadcasting, what we've done, I don't want to say in broadcasting, but in the world of entertaining people by way of the radio, we've raised the bar, and we've made it more difficult for lesser talents to do their jobs. We've made it more difficult for lesser talents, like Comb-Over Boy, for instance, who was wetting himself all weekend. I mean, wetting himself all weekend, hoping and praying to the God of his parents' choice that we wouldn't be here today. I mean, this is a guy who obsesses on me beyond any chick I ever knew. Even more than my wife. Maria doesn't think about me as much as Comb-Over Boy thinks about me. But in any event, that's what a lot of people want to do. Just take your show that's too weird. It takes way too much talent for us lowly radio.
Phil Hendry Show. 1-800-449-8686.
And now, Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell. East of the Rockies, dial 1-800-449-8686. South of the Rockies, 1-800-449-8686. Under the Rockies, 1-800-449-8686. Under your husband, 1-800-449-8688. Russia, 1-800-449-8686. Laplanders, 1-800-449-8686. And the oppressed Irish minority in Mexico, 1-800-449-8686. And now, Art Bell.
Thank you, Ross Mitchell, and a very good morning to all of you. We are in it. We are right in what we like to call we are in the stream, my friends. My friends, you know I wrote a book not too long ago called The Quickening. And in it I feel as if we are coming close to a resolution of so many of these loose ends that the universe has to offer. And tonight, General Johnson Jameson will join us. He is high in the Rockies. He, as you know, and if you check my website, www.ohmysweetchrist.com, you'll see the photographs that General Jameson has been faxing back to us from Base Camp Alpha, Neutrogena 3, high in the Rockies. Tonight, we will talk with General Johnson Jameson. But first, this from Penman Enterprises. Friends, we have got a wonderful way for you to stay healthy and happy and well-fed even after the world ends. When there's no food, when there's no shelter, you can be assured of a marvelous recipe using deer turds. That's right. Ask about our raccoon, squirrel, possum, and jackrabbit turd recipes as well. This is a phenomenal and wonderful way to keep your family fed. Going out into the woods, picking up mule crap, and making a souffle or a wonderful walnut meatloaf out of it. It's all new from Peanut Enterprises. All right, now I'm going to get General Johnson Jameson on the line. If the line breaks up, General Jameson, I certainly want you to stay on the, to hang up, and we'll call you back. Do you understand that?
I understand you, Art, yes.
All right. Tell us what you're doing.
We are right now very close, Art, to tracking, capturing, and executing Jack Frost. And
now, this is Jack Frost, the one that has been nipping at our noses.
He nipped at my nose. When I first learned of Jack Frost, he had nipped at my nose, and I got angry. But then I decided, no, I'm going to get even. I lost 3 toes to frostbite. That was an invasion of my life, and I told myself, and I told my wife, and I told strangers in coffee shops, and I would sit in Pershing Square and shout it at people, I'm going to get Jack Frost if it's the last thing I do.
Now, you went away for a while, didn't you?
Well, the U.S. government didn't want me to do it. The federal government, the CIA, they all knew that I was on to Jack Frost, and so they put me away, called me crazy, and as you know, Art,
yes,
the same thing was done in the Soviet Union. When someone disagreed with the government, they put them
in a mental institution.
In a mental institution, that's right, Art. And so...
You know, it's horrible, General Jameson, that in this country we do the same thing, that you were put away in a padded cell simply because you wanted to uncover the truth about the Sandman.
That's right. So I'm going to... Now, we are tracking him.
Now, before we find out what you're doing, I want to know, you're in the Rockies.
That is correct.
And Jack Frost lives there?
That was the last sighting of Jack Frost. I don't know where he lives. I don't even know if he lives in a house. But we do.
What does he look like?
I don't know what he looks like. He's got a pointed nose and it's red. What do you...
Well, I want to know, and...
What does he look like?
Well, how will you know him?
Well, I'll know him because he'll be running through the snow with a scarf on and a tall red hat and just going, you know, and running away. Now,
tell me about the frostbite. You directly...
Well, I know he did that. He did it, and I know a guy who lost both of them.
To frostbite?
You bet. Can you imagine the sick bastard that this guy's got to be? So we are high in the Rockies right now, and we are tracking... We're leaving base camp now.
All right, we are with General Johnson Jameson. He is tracking Jack Frost. Jack Frost, who was nipping at our nose... And also, he was on our pumpkin for a while, wasn't he?
Frost was on the pumpkin, and I thought that to be disgusting, perverted, but only because I have a filthy mind. It probably doesn't mean anything.
All right. We are tracking now. When you see him, and people can go to my website, www.artwhatswrongwithyou.com, and you can see the video of, I can see it right now, okay?
That is the helmet cam that I have. And now,
who are you with?
I'm with myself, and I have my assistant, Fritz, and that's it, because everyone else left. They don't have the guts.
They left.
We had 20 men, and when I finally told them, gentlemen, you probably wonder why I've gathered you here. We were having coffee and food around the campfire. We're going to look for Jack Frost. Well, they all laughed, of course. They thought it was an impossible thing, and the next morning, all their trucks were gone.
I understand.
All right, now, Fritz is out ahead of me. Are you out there, Fritz?
Yes, master.
All right. Fritz is out there.
Now, tell us what you see.
All right, I see him now. I see him. Fritz, go on there. All right.
We've heard gunshots.
We're running now, Art. We're running after him.
I'm hearing the gunshots.
That's right. Get him. Get him! God damn it. Drop, will you? Drop! What do you got? Hold on, Art. All right, we're taking some shots. Some of the All right, Fritz, that's good. That's good, okay? That's enough. All right, that's enough, Fritz. That's all we need, all right? What are you killing over there, anyway? Do you see him? Do you see him or not? No, I don't. Well, then what are you shooting at? Quit shooting!
All right, now,
All right, let's see what we got, Art, because I know I hit something up there.
And if you've just joined us here on the Art Bell Coast to Coast show, we are tracking Jack Frost with General Johnson Jameson.
Okay, that's what I thought. Fritz, go to the car and get a bag. Bob Nathan was one of the guys who was up last night. It looks like we dropped him, Art.
Had he not left base camp?
No, he had not left, so we dropped Nathan. And I saw the blood tracks, but I knew we hadn't hit Jack Frost because he doesn't have blood, you see. So.
All right, so you're telling me you shot one of the men who came up there to help you?
Well, until he realized we were tracking Jack Frost, and then he left. But apparently, his car, here's his truck here, Fritz. His truck was stuck. What are you shooting at now? I'm not hungry. I don't care if you saw a deer. Just get him in the bag. We're going to get Bob in the bag now, and I'll have to call his wife.
But you're still looking for Jack Frost, and many, many thanks to you, General Jameson, for an excellent, excellent pursuit. And I know that the CIA and the federal government, you're really going to drive them crazy.
Oh, that's why I'm here, Art, to drive the federal government crazy.
1-800-449-8686.
All right, with me is Vernon Dozier. He has been suspended from his job as a football coach and as a math teacher at Belmar Academy because of some incident you had with kids selling chocolate bars to raise money, right?
These are kids, Phil, that are at different supermarkets and the like who are selling these chocolate bars and these candies to raise money for uniforms, trips, etc.
All right, you had a run-in with them, and as a result, you have been suspended?
I have been suspended pending a review of our administrative board. I'm an educator, and I'm around kids all the time, and so I do want to be reinstated in my job.
What happened?
Well, what happened was this is a very difficult time of year for all of us because this time of year you see a lot of kids out in front of stores and out in front of supermarkets and the like selling these chocolate bars and selling candy and car washes and what have you to raise money for their uniforms, to raise money for their football teams or their baseball teams like that. And we have this at our school as well, raising money for different clubs. What I resent, what I do not have much patience for, is the way they will continually try to guilt you into giving them money for their candy bars. And I say this as an educator. I know the kids need to make money, but I don't like it when I'm going into a store and I hear a kid say, please, mister, would you give us money for, would you like to buy a box of chocolate bars? Would you like to buy, what have you? Phil, I'm sure you've seen this.
Well, we've all, any of us who are parents, yeah, we've seen kids trying to raise money for the different things.
All right, but what I don't like is the guilt, please, please, please. And I have very strenuously in my life adhered to one philosophy and one philosophy only. Nobody is going to make me feel guilty. Okay?
Do you really think that's what the kids are doing?
I think they are. Yes, I do, sir. Because they play on your feelings as an adult, and they'll try to make you feel guilty that somehow you owe them. What I do, what I recommend friends of mine do, I will look them directly in the eye as a child is standing there with the candy bar or whatever they're selling. Please, sir, do you want to buy a candy bar to help us raise money for our school uniforms? I will look them directly in the eye and I will say, no, I don't. And I will keep looking at them as I walk into the store. I will make direct eye contact because no kid will make me feel guilty. And
I don't feel guilty.
Well, I think you do. But you just, let me tell you something, if I could, Phil, if you've got a moment.
Go ahead, but I don't feel guilty when I see kids selling candy bars. I'll either buy it or I won't.
No, well, let me tell you something. 4 years ago, I had a decision to make. And that decision was to either stay with my wife and my 3 kids or make a clean break, leave them in Minnesota, which is where I'm from originally, and come out west to make a clean start. Now, I'm out here, and there's these kids with their marching bands and their football uniforms, and they want to guilt you into buying chocolate bars. Hey, mister, I'm not going to let the guilt get to me any more than I'm going to feel guilty about leaving my 3 children, which I guess you think I should. But I do not, and I will not. I met a young lady. She's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. And
I'm going to jump in. Have you seen your kids? You say you've got 3 children that you left in Minnesota?
Yeah, that is correct, yeah.
You're from Minnesota originally?
I'm from North Carolina originally, but I lived in Minnesota the last 20 years, yeah.
All right, and do you pay child support to these kids?
You know something? I'm going to leave the direction of your question and continue going.
No, wait a minute.
No, wait. I left my kids, I left my wife, because let me tell you, these kids are just like the ones out in front of the stores. They guilt you into things, so I will walk by, and I'll say no, and I'll make eye contact, and I've walked on, and I've done that for a long time. I can make eye contact with a kid, stare right at him as they say, "Would you please buy a candy bar?" And I'll say, "No, I won't," and I'll keep right on walking. Because with these kids today, everything is me, buy, I'm hungry, buy.
We have a letter here from Mrs. Wendy Jan in Arcadia, California. She says that you stared down her son, Sam, and said no.
Which is my constitutional right.
Okay, but then when the child persisted and said, please buy, he was selling candy bars for a school band?
I do not recall.
All right, you said no, and then when he persisted, you told him to go F himself. Is that right?
That's correct. And I would do it again.
What are you trying to prove with something like that?
Let me tell you something. For 2 years of my life, everything was a big fat zero. I had a dead-end job at a recreation center in Minnesota. I had a wife and 3 kids who walked all over me. All I ever heard was, Daddy, I need. My wife, what do you want for dinner? What do you want? And finally, one day, I'd had it. And
you're telling me your life story here. I got to give the phone number out, sir.
I'd like to finish what I'm saying.
I want to give our phone number. Hold on. 1-800-449-8686. 1-800-449-8686. You've left a wife and 3 children, and you don't want to feel guilty about it. And every time you see kids selling candy bars for school band uniforms, you feel guilty?
I do not feel guilty. You are missing my point. No, sir, I don't. I look them in the eye, and I tell them, no, I don't want your candy bar. No. Now, can I finish my story?
Go ahead.
Because if you live with a woman and kids, all they'll ever do is I need, I want. So you asked me about child support. I got a letter from her and from her attorney, and I told him, as long as you asked me about child support, I told her attorney to go F himself, too. All right, and that's what I do. I went into McDonald's, and I decided that they were a pain in the ass, too. I told the guy at the booth to go F himself. This is my philosophy now, Phil. And
it's a little immature, sir. It's a little immature. And I ask you the question again. Do you pay...
If these kids cross the line, I'll tell them to F off. That's what I do.
No, wait a minute. Do you pay child support to your kids?
I'm not going to dignify that with an answer. I am.
Wait, what's wrong with answering the question, do you pay child support?
I'm not going to dignify that. I'm not going to take the interview where you want to take it. Now, I told that kid with the candy bar that he can go F it. And I told that the kid at McDonald's to go F himself. And I told my wife's attorney that he can F off. I think you get my meaning.
I think you're angry. I think you think people are trying to make you guilty. Or feel guilty.
Well, then why do they stand there with their candy bars that they're selling at the supermarkets? Please, sir, will you buy? We need it for the band. We need it for the uniforms. We need it for this. Little tiny kids.
Well, why do you think they're making you feel guilty?
Because they put the kids out there to do it. If they wanted to just do a straight-up business transaction, like a man, stand up like a man and sell me a candy bar. God.
I understand, sir.
If they wanted to stand up like a man and sell me a candy bar, then I'd appreciate that. But they got to get their kids to do it. They get their little kids out there to do it. Please, sir, will you buy a candy bar? And you've seen it many, many times because they haven't got the guts. They haven't got the living guts to stand there and sell a candy bar like a man, like any man would. And the wives support this behavior too, Mr. Henry. So,
well, what I'm hearing is a very angry man.
Sir, I don't want to hear you give me your psychoanalysis.
Well, I'm hearing a very angry man who left a wife and 3 children in Minnesota, and you won't answer whether you pay child support.
I'm not going to dignify that.
You're not going to dignify what, sir?
I'm not going to dignify responding whether I pay child support or not.
All right, but be that as it may.
All I know is my life has been wonderful since I met Candace, and I come to California. I've had a wonderful, wonderful life with her. The best day of my life was 4 years ago. It was a Sunday. My wife and kids, Daddy, do you want to? My wife said, Daddy, and the kids said, Daddy, you want to come to church with us? And I told them all they could go F it.
Your wife and kids asked you if you wanted to go to church.
That's right. Another guilt association. Do you want to go to church? Because that implies that my soul is as black as coal. I told them to F off. I got in my truck. I never turned around.
1-800-449-8686. William, go ahead. You're on the Phil Hendry Show.
Hey, there's never an excuse for any adult to tell any child at any age to F themselves. I mean, there's just
well, then why is he bothering me?
And
why is he bothering me?
Hand this kid. You had your kid. Let me have mine. If you take $2 and give this to this kid, you get a candy bar in exchange. That's a lot better than giving this kid $2 for no reason at all. I'd rather give the kid $2, get a candy bar, let the kid see that he's earned that money, than for that kid to come out with his hand out and say, "Just give me money."
Wait a second. Hey, here's another option for you. Look him in the eye and say no. There you go.
Okay, let's look all these kids in the eye and say no, and then let's raise our sales tax to about 25% so that we can cover all these things to keep our kids off the streets from doing drugs and committing crimes.
Wait a second. Wait. I don't mind a kid. I don't mind a kid.
If you're an educator, if you were my child's teacher, you would never go back to work at that school.
Wait. I don't mind a kid selling me a candy bar straight up like a man, but trying to guilt me into it. Please, you're giving me the moo cow eyes and the whole Peter Pan act. And you know what I'm talking about.
Well, rather than telling the kid to F off, stop. In a calm voice, in an educational setting, tell him, your pitch is wrong. You need to be saying, "Sir, we're raising money for our school uniforms. Would you like to buy a candy bar to help?"
Well, William, I would agree with that if the school is willing to pay me overtime.
The school's willing to what?
Pay me overtime for that. Because
wait a minute. You're stopping and talking to a kid?
Well, if I'm going to teach the kid how to sell a candy bar, I think I'm entitled to some recompense from the school district, because now what you have is a situation. I'm on my own time. I'm going into the store to get a six-pack.
Have you ever heard of the expression, "It takes a village to raise a child"?
That's that Hillary Clinton claptrap, and boy.
No, I'm not a Hillary Clinton.
Well, brother, you just laid an egg there, because that's a Hillary Clinton deal.
No, that is not a Hillary. That is an African saying. That's an expression from Africa.
That's thousands of years old.
Well, no, my understanding was Hillary Clinton invented it.
No, she did not. She was quoting a saying that is used among African villages, that it takes a village to raise a child.
Well, I think that's a lot.
Which means
I think that's a lot of liberal claptrap.
When you walk out the door of that school, that you quit teaching.
Well, something smells.
I'm not a teacher, but if I come into contact with a child that's doing something wrong, I have a moral and obligation to my society, to this country, to teach that child what he's done wrong.
Well, William, something smells very liberal about you, and I would say that.
You can call me liberal. You can call me conservative.
I'll tell you what. Right now, that kid didn't bug me once I told him to F himself.
I wouldn't have. If you had told my child that, and I'd heard it, or my child had come to me and said something, we would have both ended up in jail.
Well, then I would have just told you to F off too.
Well, if you're brave enough to do that to my face, that's fine. But if you're going to do it over the air, I mean, that's kind of silly.
Well, I'm not doing it now, but you're telling me if you come up to me after I told your kid to F off, you're going to hit me? I just tell you to F right off.
Wait a minute. The guy just cold cocks you.
Off the ground. You have no right to tell any child to F off.
Well, then why is he bugging me with his guilt trip?
You shouldn't be teaching that.
Then why is he putting a guilt trip on me?
He's a child.
He's not putting a guilt trip on you.
Yes, he is. He's going, sir.
Sir, I've been involved in school sports and youth sports for over 25 years. These kids could not play the game without selling candy bars and raisins.
Well, that may be, but if I told if your kid's bugging me with his chocolates and I tell him to F off and he keeps trying to bug me, what am I supposed to do?
You're a coach. You coach a football team, right?
That's correct.
How do you guys get the uniforms? How do you guys pay for the equipment? The kids, there's all kinds of different things that kids do.
Like I said, I don't mind adults doing it, but these kids...
I think you got an issue because you left a wife and 3 kids in Minnesota.
Okay, Dr. Freud.
I wasn't even going to go there. That's part of it.
You know something?
How many football games, you coach football, how many football games have you lost, and how many football games have the officials lost for you?
Let me tell you something, William. I've been 4 years at Belmar Academy, and my record is 125-31. We got 2 ties, and I can tell you that we have won our division 3 times. And our officiating...
What was it that you lost the game, though?
And you're right. The officiating has been bad. I tell you, we've legitimately lost about 5 or 6 games, but the officials lost the other games for us.
All right, listen, William, thanks for your call. 1-800-449-8686. You're one for the books here, Vernon. You're one for the books, baby. Vernon Dozier is he has been suspended from his job as a math teacher and football coach at Belmar Academy in Glendale, California. Why? Because he told a kid who was selling chocolate bars to raise money for band uniforms to F off. Apparently, he says that these kids that sell chocolate bars to raise money for band uniforms, for football uniforms, and for a variety of different projects are guilt-tripping him, and he says it's not manly. And, in fact, adults should be selling those candy bars, not the kids, so that a man can sell another man a candy bar straight up. 1-800-449-8686, 1-800-449-8686, The Phil Hendry Show.
1-800-449-8686. The Phil Hendry Show is back.
Vernon Dozier he has been suspended as a football coach at Belmar Academy. That's in South Pasadena, if you don't know, and he has been suspended as the math teacher for telling a kid to F off who was selling chocolate bars out in front of a supermarket. Chocolate bars, the sales of which would generate revenue for high school band uniforms. You've left a wife and 3 children in Minnesota, and you have also...
I would appreciate if you not continue to refer to the wife and 3 children I left in Minnesota, because that is exactly what I'm talking about, sir. The guilt trip. The kids used to call it a guilt trip. You remember when the kids used to call it that? Now they just say, you're putting some guilt on me. But it's the guilt trip that you're trying to lay on me about these kids, and I think it's wrong.
Well, I've asked you a question.
I'm not going to dignify that, sir.
And that's what you keep telling me. I've asked you, how much do you pay in child support?
I will not dignify that with a response. Since I met Candace, my life has been every day is Disneyland. Every day is a new adventure in joy, in love, yes, in sex as well.
Well, I'll have to ask you about Candace, because she sounds like a fantastic... Well, this is not your wife, I take it.
No, sir, and I would appreciate it if you would quit revisiting that topic.
Here is Joe. Hi, you're on the Phil Hendry Show, Joe.
Yes, hi.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I would like to tell something to this man that you have. He wants little kids between...
Are you French? Are you French, ma'am?
Yes. He wants little kids between 8...
That's a hot one.
8 and,
Let the lady
12.
talk.
He wants little kids between 8 and 12 to act like men while selling him chocolate. They're not salespeople. They're just trying to raise some money. And he cannot act like a man and face his problems. And he fled Minnesota, ran away from his family because he could not be a man instead.
Well, you ran away from France.
Well,
no, actually, I am not...
What has that got to do with anything, okay?
I got a hard time taking advice from somebody from France. It just bothers me.
Well,
Everything bothers him. Thank God for Candace.
Thank God for what? Kansas?
Candace, the girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, thank God for her. And I'll tell you one thing, she's not French. Look, Joe, you there?
Yes.
Okay. You people bent over and grabbed your ankles for Hitler, and you're telling me what to do?
All right, that's enough of that, sir, okay? That's enough of that.
I am not French from France.
Oh, okay, well, all right, where are you from?
I'm Canadian.
Oh, all right, I guess that's okay. So what was your question?
She's asking, how can you expect these kids to be men when you're not acting like a man?
I'm not acting like a man. I'm acting like a 100% man by telling these kids they can take their candy bars, they can take their band uniforms, they can take their book bags and their boxes with money and chocolate bars, and they can park them up their rear ends for all I care. Because I will not have nobody put no guilt trip on me.
All right, 1-800-449-8686, 1-800-449-8686. This is the Phil Hendry Show with Vernon Dozier.
This is the
The Phil Hendry Show is back. 1-800-449-8686.
When kids are out in front of a supermarket selling candy bars to raise money for band uniforms or football uniforms, are they guilting you or I into buying those candy bars? Do we feel guilty when we see these kids? Or is it just perhaps our own feelings? Mr. Dozier, you say that the kids are guilting you and it isn't anything going on with you.
No, I don't think it's anything going on with me.
You left a wife and 3 kids. You've moved in with a woman named Candace.
All right. You are going to need to apologize.
Why do I need to apologize?
Because the way you spit out the name Candace makes me think you believe she's some kind of a stripper or she's some kind of a dancer or some kind of a thing like that. Now, I can tell you this much.
I never said anything of the sort.
I will tell you this much, sir, that when I met her, and I'm not proud of this, she was working in a peep show in San Diego. She no longer does that work. She has moved in with me. I have had a vasectomy, and I will repeat that. I have had a vasectomy. That means
no kids.
There you go. No kids. She is not working in the line of work she was in.
Do you pay child support?
I'm not going to dignify that.
1-800-449-8686. Allison, go ahead. We're with Vernon Dozier, who's been suspended as a teacher at Belmar Academy. Go ahead, Allison.
Sir, we don't need to know about your entire life. And I, myself, am a student in high school. And when I go to stores...
Here we go. Now you're going to tell me how it is. Is that it?
Yes, I am. When I go to stores to try to sell candy, I am persuading you. I'm not making you go into a guilt trip.
Okay, don't you go, sir, would you please help out and all of that stuff? Don't you do that?
No, I say, sir, would you please like to make a donation to my chapter or my club? I do not say, sir, please buy it. Please, please, please. No, you say that we're trying to make you feel guilty. I myself think that you are feeling guilty about something. And there is something that can help you. It's called Prozac and therapy. It might be able to help you during this.
Let me tell you something, kid. If you bug me...
Please do not refer to me as a kid.
Well, because you are a kid, okay? So
no, I am not a kid.
Once you're not a kid anymore, then I'll refer to you as something else. And when you start telling me about your club, I'll tell you to F off.
Sir, I think you have some issues.
You know, your little voice... How old are you?
None of your business.
Yeah, you're about, 15?
How old are you, 9?
What do you do, car washes in your bikini so all the fathers will come in and get their cars washed? Yeah, you don't know about that, do you, Mr. Henry?
You're very mature for your age, sir.
You know, that is really sickening.
Oh, let me tell you something. I see these little 15-year-olds out there doing the car wash on the weekend in the bikinis. Don't you think they want the fathers coming in getting their cars washed?
Sir, you're being very stereotypical.
Isn't that true, though?
No, it's not true. I am nothing like that. I am out there in decent clothing.
You know something? I've got a wife who isn't much older than you, but she's sure a lot more mature.
How old is your wife?
What, 17, 18, sir?
She's just turned 19.
It's called robbing the cradle.
She's legal. Thank you.
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm legal, too. That doesn't mean I'm a child.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
Oh, that's a load of crap.
Oh, yeah.
You in high school?
90 now?
You in high school?
Yes, I am in high school.
Okay, Phil, I'm going to say it.
What are you doing?
I'm going to tell her to
Sir, I think you have some issues. And I think that your children... Can you shut up? I think your children do not ruin your marriage or your wife. I think you have problems
What are
when
you
ruin
angry
your
about?
own marriage.
What are you angry about?
What am I angry about?
Yeah, what are you
You're
angry
a jerk.
about? I'm a jerk because I don't want you and your other little kid friends going, please, 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 please. You know what? I'll look you in the eye, Allison, and I'll tell you, no, I don't want your chocolate bar.
You can say that instead of saying F off. You know how rude that is?
The kid wouldn't
That makes
quit bothering
you so
me.
immature by doing that. That is stooping down to a child's level.
What are you doing
And
now?
you are being very immature by doing that right now, sir.
What school do you go to?
None of your business.
Yeah,
Why am I going to put my business out there?
I don't think you go to a school. I think you sell candy bars to live.
Yeah, well, at least I don't date someone that was a previous hooker.
She was not a hooker. She worked in a peep show.
Same thing.
Oh, it
she
is.
works for money.
And what do you know about?
Sir.
What do you know about peep shows?
And we do not need to know about her information.
Yeah,
we
I don't.
do not.
You don't have to throw out that she worked in a peep show.
No one asked you about that, sir. No one asked about your vasectomy. This is about you telling a kid to F off when he was asking you to buy candy. No one asked you about your vasectomy.
Look,
are you leaving kids behind in Minnesota?
For 10 years, I put up with my wife and 3 kids, and one day I told them all to F off. I got in the car.
Because they asked you to go to church.
Yes, they asked me.
They asked you to go to church. That is a nice thing to do.
That's a nice
Daddy,
thing
would you
to
like
do.
to go to church? That is no reason to say F off.
I told them to go F it.
And you left your family because they asked you to go to church.
Let me
There is
tell you
something
something.
bothering you, sir.
I came out to California, and I needed some help. And yes, I went into a peep show in San Diego. Let me tell you what, it changed my life. And when you get out of school, I can certainly put your name in there.
Aren't you a smartass?
Well, she started it.
How did I start it?
Allison, thank you for your call. 1-800-449-8686. Don't even do it. Miriam, hi, you're on the Phil Henry Show. Go ahead.
Is this me?
Yes, Miriam, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, this guy probably did his wife and his family a big favor by leaving. And, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I
do you
think,
have kids in school? I mean, are you one of these mothers that gets the kid out there with a candy bar?
Well, I'm not a mother.
All right,
okay.
well, then what do you know about it?
Right. Just by what you're saying, I mean, if I was a mother and I was a wife, you would embarrass me by being on the show by what you're saying. I'd be mortified. I'd want you out. I wanted to say goodbye. You did your family a big favor.
Let me tell you, there's only 2 things.
I don't want to hear what you have to say.
There's only 2 things I don't like.
Enough.
I don't
you know
like
what?
women.
You're going to jail because obviously you're not paying your child support. So
I'm not dignifying that.
Suspended from school.
I'm not
You're not going back anyway.
Yeah, you haven't said whether you're paying your child support.
I'm going to tell you one thing. 2 things I don't like. I don't like kids that guilt me.
Paul, you know what?
And I don't like women that laugh at me. I've never liked a woman that laughs at me.
To it, so
are you paying child support or not?
Yeah, Paul. Am I paying child support?
Paying tuition at that school, I'd be mortified. As a parent, I wouldn't want you back. If I was a member on that school board, I wouldn't want you back either. But you're on national syndicated radio.
Wait a minute. I have a right to defend my job. I walked into a super, and here comes the kid. I look a kid in the eye. I'll look a kid in the eye.
You killed yourself.
Miriam,
no lawyer in his right mind or her right mind is going to take you. You just killed yourself on nationally syndicated radio.
Oh, really, Gloria Allred, and tell me your legal experience. Jeez, I love it. I love the way these broads... I don't like women laughing at me
Broads.
either. I don't like women...
That's nice. I'm a broad.
I don't like... Okay, well, don't laugh at me.
You're laughable. I mean, there's nothing else
Miriam.
to do but laugh at you.
F it.
Okay, yeah, don't worry. I've heard it all before. You're going to jail, pal, because you haven't paid your child support.
I'd like to ask the host, are you laughing with her?
When you said F it, I did laugh.
I know, it is. It's laughable, isn't it?
It's laughable? Let me tell you what's laughable.
Where do you get these catches? This is amazing.
These guys who are telling me that I don't have the right to walk into a supermarket without some kid, I'll stare down any kid trying to sell me a candy bar.
You're an adult, sir,
then why can't he sell me a candy bar like a man?
You have a responsibility to act as an adult human being, and you clearly aren't.
F.
All right, thanks, Miriam.
Okay, no problem.
1-800-449-8686.
Yeah?
I'm here. Frank, you're on the Phil Henry Show. Hello? Frank, go ahead.
Is me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Hey, I decided to acknowledge it. Hey, how can you be a man and set a good example for these kids if you're telling them to F off? Why don't you be a
What
man?
are you talking about?
And say, no, thanks.
What are
I don't
you
want
talking about?
I don't want the candy bar and walk away.
I did say that. I did
okay,
say that.
and then why did you
And
walked
then the
away?
kid keeps
So why was there
no.
any confrontation?
Then he keeps going, oh, sir, it's for our band uniform.
But you walked away. How can you sit there and justify turning around and lowering your level to this kid? Okay, you're turning around as you're walking away, and you're lowering your level to this kid to say what you had to say.
That's my point too. And
oh, I've heard your point, Mr. Henry. I've heard your point is that I'm supposed to sit there and take abuse.
You're not. You're walking away. Be a man. Walk away. He's not going to follow you into the store
Let me
because
ask
I've
you
done
this.
it too.
Why can't the parents go out there and sell the candy bars like men instead of having the kids go out there?
Hey, there's plenty of parents that sit around with their kids for people like you. Okay?
Well, look at
so you don't see kids out there by themselves. Everywhere I go to Publix or to grocery stores or to Walmart or wherever I may go, those children are out there with their family.
Yeah.
And their family's out there to protect those kids from you. How do you teach your kids? Do you have the kids in your classroom coming up to you and say, hey, Mr. Paul, Mr. Paul, can you show me, what do you do, F you in the classroom?
I tell these kids to F off if they're asking me, for instance, when I coach football, some kid comes up to me and asks me about a play that we've run 100 times. I told him to F it.
Why would you tell a kid to F it?
Because he's bugging me. He's guilting me.
So you don't know any other proper English words other than F it?
Yeah, and if you're a teacher, dude, you're in the wrong business if you're telling kids to F it because they're bugging you.
Look, where is it written that a kid gets to violate me with chocolate? I'd like to know that.
Where is it written where the adult violates a kid with the language that you're using? It's not there.
I didn't start it. I get out of the car and...
Well, look, you know what this is?
It doesn't matter, man. The kids are kids. They think they're doing something. They're taught to do something right and good for the kids.
Look, I told that kid, if he wants to sell me a chocolate bar, all he has to do is say, Mister, do you want a chocolate bar? I'll look him straight in the eye, man to man, and say no. But he didn't do that. So I said,
then you should have been a man and walked away. You should be showing a good example for these kids. Instead, you're teaching these kids, hey, there's assholes out there like you. Excuse my language.
Wait a minute, you're calling me an asshole?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're acting like one.
If you came up to me and tried to sell me candy, I'd take that Twix bar and I'd tell you to F off.
Hey, you should be a man and walk away from the kid. The child does not know better.
Poor kids are trying to raise money
hey,
because they don't have enough money for the schools,
Why don't you get your wife on the phone and find out what the real reason is why you left?
Mr.
I bet you there's more to this story than what the meets the eye there, buddy.
Oh, yeah? Have you got a woman that used to work at a peep show as your girlfriend? I don't think so.
Oh, hell no. I wouldn't lower myself to that standard, let alone lower myself to be cursing out a kid.
That ain't necessarily good.
Are you kidding me?
She used to work at a peep show. I hate to tell you that, but that's about the lowest rung on the adult entertainment ladder.
You ain't kidding. That's like a sneak preview. Oh, let me hide in these closets over here so nobody can see me.
Yeah, let us sit in those booths, man, and stick a quarter. Oh, God.
Yeah, I mean, who else has been in there that you lowered yourself pretty low to be, teaching kids the wrong language, and then,
I could stare anybody down. I could stare anybody down. Somebody offers me, I'll stare you down, Henry, right now. 1, 2, 3, go. Stare at me.
Yeah, but you got problems, man. You need some help. You need to go see a psychiatrist.
I will stare you down. Come on.
Stare what down? I can't even see you.
Thank you very much.
Who do you think I am? What, are you hanging up? Chicken.
How do you justify doing that, man? I mean,
are you staring at me?
I'm not staring at you. I don't know what to stare at.
I can eyeball you. That kid said the chocolate bars don't have nuts in them, and that kid probably knew I'd had a vasectomy. So all of these things, you put them together, and it's a joke.
So you don't like staring?
No, I'm not staring. Thanks a lot, Frank. I'm not staring.
Why not?
I don't know what to stare at.
See, I'm winning. Are you blinking?
Yes, I blinked.
Okay, I win.
This is the Phil Hendry Show.
All right, so hold on. Apparently, Cora Sewell here has something to say to me. Well, go ahead, Cora, because I'm about to leave. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go for a nature walk. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I got Skype, Mumble, Discord, TeamSpeak, Jitsi, Ventrilo, all sorts of ways to communicate on the internet. I've got YouTube. I've got a Twitch account. YouTube is much higher quality, but Twitch is less apt and less. All right, so Cora, did you want to talk to me live, or did you want to just ask me here? That Petito van video, I don't know, it's pretty much over. I just showed what I wanted to show in it. Let me tell you right now, to preempt you, there's nothing interesting in that video. It's just the door and the sandals. That's really about the only two interesting things in that video. Anything else you hear from anybody else is bullcrap. There's no guy in the forest. There's nobody digging in the woods. There's no gun. There's no guy on the right side of the screen. I don't know why people keep saying this crap. If you're seeing this crap, it's because you're on a cell phone and you don't have a real computer and a real monitor and you can't see anything. Are you still here? Oh, okay. So, well, all right, what do you want to know? What was your question? Go ahead. It's fine. I welcome anything. If you say I'm dumb or wrong, that's fine too. Because I like hashing it out. I like people challenging me. Can you tell me if the turquoise seat cover on the driver... Can you tell me if the turquoise seat cover on the driver's side seat... I didn't see a turquoise seat cover, but it looked white to me. Can you tell me if the turquoise seat cover on the driver's side seat... I wondered if you could see if the cover is on. I don't know. Okay, so if it's on or off, it's significant in some way. I'm trying to figure the significance here. I mean, if you really want to look at that kind of stuff, you can always, I don't know, buy a computer. I'm just kidding, kinda. Computers are not even that much more expensive than a cell phone. You should be buying a computer. Oh, the cover's on the police cam video? I don't know. Well, look, like when you're out traveling with your girlfriend, things are going to get disheveled and shuffled around. So I don't think it would make a difference, because this was, what is it, 2 weeks later after the police stop that they were recorded by Red, White, and Bethune. It is missing on the police evidence photo. Well, I don't think the police released any evidence photo of her death or the crime scene. I don't think that's ever been released, so I don't know what you're talking about. See, what you should do... I don't know. I'm not really interested in that story. I don't know. I am, but as far as to get the guy and then convict him. But there's nothing else going on, I don't think, you know? I mean, we have police officers, investigators that will know more about that stuff than all of us. The only reason I even made the video is because there was debate on the internet whether or not the door was opening or closing. And I hate when there's a debate about something that's so clear. It really bugs me a lot. That's why I wanted to settle that dispute, and I think I did. The body cam doesn't have the cover, the body cam does. Well, I don't know. I've kind of lost interest in the story until he's caught. There's really nothing else coming out, and I'm not an investigator. I'm just some turd in Minnesota, you know? I'm just some smoldering buttlug sitting here in Minnesota. I'm nobody special. Well, that's what I said, Cora. Listen, Cora, you don't know if that's the case. You can't say if it's missing that he did it. Like when I was traveling with my girlfriend, sometimes she moved stuff around when we went to South Dakota. We drove from Minnesota to South Dakota just a few months ago. It was a 9-hour drive. Not that long, but 9 hours is still quite... So during that time, we moved stuff around. She did and I did. You know, if there was a seat cover on my seat and my girlfriend decided to remove it, or I decided to remove it, how would you know who decided to remove it? And what difference would it really make? See what I mean? I don't think it's significant. I keep seeing all this kind of stuff coming my way, And I'm Garfield Islet over here, you know? Maybe that's a bad thing, but I'm waiting for some real data to come in. You know, like when the coroner said there was a strangling. That's interesting data because, you know, that comes from the experts. But yeah, get a computer, zoom in. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it anyway. There's really nothing else in that video. It's not the best video, it's not the worst video, but I just made it just to settle a small little dispute. Okay, so I don't get it. Jesus, guys. A seat cover. People move stuff around. How many times do I have to say it? Hi. People move stuff around when you're in a car traveling around the United States. Not everything is going to be in the same place, and not everything is going to be significant. If you saw a whole body in